Now, before I start my talk today, I just want to point out that I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert. I just dealt with this experience, and I thought that we should shed some light and offer a better understanding to what it means to go through depression, or be depressed, or know someone who is depressed. But before I get into my talk, I would like to go through a small experience with you guys. If at the count of 3, all of you could close your eyes. First, I'll tell you what it is, then we'll do it. So 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna need you to close your eyes and visualize something with me, okay? So 1, 2, 3. I need everybody to close their eyes. I need everyone to inhale. Exhale, keep your eyes closed. Now I want you to imagine yourself right now, what you're wearing, the way you look, your hair, your shoes. And I want you to imagine that you're in a field, a really, really large field. You're there alone. But then you look to your right, and there's this little boy or girl holding your hand very tightly. They're crying, they're bruised, they're broken, they're damaged. They're looking at you for help, and you're looking back helpless. You want to help, but you have no idea why. You don't know what's happening. They're crying, and you just stand there holding their hand. Now open your eyes. Now I need you to remember this little boy or girl, because we're going to come back to it at the end of this talk. Now, when I was a young girl, I always had a fear of dark places. I still kind of sort of do, but it was really bad back then. So when I used to go to sleep, I would scream and tell my parents, I don't want to sleep in the dark. Can you turn on the lights? And they would be like, why are you scared? And I would tell them that there are monsters. Where are the monsters? They would ask me, and I would say, underneath my bed. So they would come in, turn on the light, and look underneath my bed. They'd be like, see, there's nothing down there. I'd be like, okay. Second day, I'd come back in and tell them, Mom, there's a monster in my closet. She's like, oh my God. No, there is not. I'm like, yes. She turns on the light. She opens the closet. There's nothing in there. See, the one thing that my parents failed to tell me is that monsters not only exist in our exterior. When I met my worst monsters, they were all right here in my head. All of them. My first encounter with depression was about 2.5 years ago. And I was a student at university. I was going about my daily routine, and one day I got a phone call, and it was my dad. And he had told me that a family member of mine who was terminally ill had just passed away. And I remember the day. It was very dark, it was late at night. I was in my room alone. So I walked out. Right when I got that phone call, something inside of me felt really wrong. I didn't know why, I didn't know what. So I walked outside, and as soon as he explained to me, the first thing he said was, be strong, for me and for you. So the first thing typically I did was I bawled my eyes out. I fell to the floor, I started crying. And then I picked myself up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be strong, not gonna cry anymore. So I had friends who were with me, they supported me, they came over. They tried to get me out of this mood that I was in. And it worked for a little while, just for a few days. After that, they had to leave, and I had to stay there with my thoughts and my ideas. But I didn't know that they would take a turn to the worst. I had no idea. But they weren't normal thoughts, they weren't regular thoughts. They started off really, really small. They were like whispers. You wouldn't notice them at first. You'd think it was you. It would be things like, today's a really bad day. You don't look good in that. You're too dumb for this. This is too hard for you. You don't deserve that. You shouldn't have that. So these voices start off really, really small. And they grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you don't share this with anybody because you don't want to look damaged or broken or like anything's wrong with you. So you keep it in. So every morning before you leave the house, you put on this mask that you're Superman or Superwoman, and you pretend. You go on through your life pretending because every single person in your life is also pretending. So it's easy to put on this mask. So it became a habit. I think I was scared of myself, of my own reflection, because I could not recognize myself anymore. I could not recognize where this monster ended and where I began. We merged, we became one. And that was terrifying for me. That lasted for a long while until I reached a peak. And that peak was, you go through this internal struggle and you go through these really, really negative thoughts and self-demeaning things until you start believing them and you start acting like they are true when they are not. They're completely in your head. And I felt very void, very empty. I had to fill it in with something. So I resorted to food. I ate everything and anything, McDonald's, KFCs, all day, every day. And it wasn't because I was hungry. It was because something was missing and I didn't know what it was. So I had to fill this void. And people around me noticed, they commented, but I was in denial because I didn't know that I was running away from something. But the change happened so fast that it was hard for them not to notice. They couldn't correlate it with anything, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, all these negative thoughts, I'm either going to self-harm and self-destruct and never be the same again, or I'm going to start fighting. I don't know what this monster is. I don't know how it got here, but there's no more room for you left in me. I am done. And that's when I started fighting. Now, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know that I had depression. To me, I thought that I was going crazy because my skin didn't feel like it was my skin. The way I talked wasn't me. The way I walked wasn't me. My thoughts wasn't me. I was just existing. And another myth about people who go through depression is that they're very suicidal. They're dangerous. They're not. They would harm themselves before they would harm you. And the reason why is because they don't want to exist. They don't want to die, but they don't want to exist. And the closest thing to death, to non-existence, is death. So that is why they choose to do this. And I called my family. And I asked my dad, I said, listen, I don't know what's happening. This is really weird. This is really strange. I don't feel like this is okay or I'm okay. I need your help. He said, pray and just calm down. Everything will be okay. They had support, but they didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And so he gave me a quote that I now live by. He said, you are your best friend and you are your worst enemy. And at first I had no idea what this was. I just heard it, I was like, okay, I don't know what my dad's talking about. And as I started holding on to my lifeline, and I'll show you what a lifeline means in a minute because every person's lifeline is different. Every person goes through depression is different. Your trigger is different. Your medicine is different. You're sick, you're not damaged, you're not broken. And I decided that I was going to fight this because I can't give up. There's this basic human instinct that says, okay, as soon as you're backed into a corner and you either have to die or live, you always, always, always choose to live. It's in you. And I decided to go through with that. I decided slowly, it was a battle. It was a really, really, really hard battle. It was a daily thing because this monster that you see, it didn't grow overnight. It took a long time. And here's the thing, you don't choose to get depressed, but you kind of have a choice if you want to stay in it or not. Because let's say you're having these negative thoughts or negative emotions or doubts or whatever. You can choose to recognize it and not feed it. Don't throw gasoline on the fire. If you're starting to think, okay, I'm not good enough, I'm worthless, I'm this, I'm that, don't add fuel and say, yes, I am, and reaffirm it and bring it into life. You're feeding it. So when it goes from that to that, you actually played a part in it. So that's the first thing that I was learning how to do. I had to know what it was that I was fighting. So I decided that I would research, that I would ask around, that I would Google, that I would YouTube. And the first thing that I came across was that a lot of people were going through the same thing, but I had no idea what it was. And I watched videos I read books, and I realized that this is a normal thing. This is something that everybody goes through in one time or the other of their lives. If you're 55 and you just lost your job, or if you're 20 and you just failed in university and you have financial issues, if you're 15 you just got sexually molested, it doesn't matter. Every single human being goes through it during their lifespan. The thing is, your triggers are different, and I need you, in order for you to fight this monster, to deconstruct that and know how to deal with it. And the first thing that I did was research. After I researched, I decided to voice it out. I had to talk about it. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I kept it in for too long. So I talked to my family. They were supportive of it. I had talked to my friends, the ones who were positive, even though they didn't understand it, they were there to support the journey. And I eventually met with a counselor. And the reason why I met with a counselor, and I know it's kind of taboo and you're going crazy, but it's the most natural thing. It doesn't mean that you're a crazy person if you go see them. The counselor simply offers a clear view, a non-biased view of what you're going through. Their experience, they know how to deal with this. They know how to get you out of it. And the thing is, you can get out of it, but you just need that lifeline thrown to you. And after meeting with the counselor, I decided to also reintegrate with my past life. I used to love running, I used to love singing, I used to love dancing, and all these things were gone for me. And so I had to learn how to fall back in love with all these things. And once I did, it was very hard, and it was also a battle. But slowly and surely, by the end of that year, I became a completely different person. Because what happened in the beginning was I met the worst version of me. And when I say worst, I mean the weakest. I mean, I saw all my insecurities, I saw all my doubts, I saw all my faults, and I compared the worst part with the best part of everybody else. So I made my own journey worse. Versus the me that is strong, that is confident, that is capable, that is caring, that is loving. And after this journey, the one thing that I want to leave you with before I close this is that you are stronger than you imagine, and your thoughts have power, and your vision has power, and you are worthy. You deserve love, you deserve success, you deserve happiness, you deserve everything and more, but I need you to know that. If you don't know that, I know that for you, and it's okay. It really is. So I also need people to be more aware of their words, because when I was going through this, people were very careless about the words they threw around. You're this, you're that, you're this. You throw your words at me and you leave, but my scars are still here. Until this very day, I remember the people who said positive things and negative things. And you never know when a person's just standing on the edge, and one word, right or wrong, could push him over or save his life. And the last exercise that I want to ask you guys to participate in is to do the same thing. I'm going to count to 1, 2, and 3. I need you guys to close your eyes again. 1, 2, 3. Now I need everybody to inhale, deep breath. Exhale. And I need you to remember that field you were standing in at the beginning of this talk. You look down. There's that child. But he doesn't look the same, or she doesn't look the same. They're happy, they're smiling, they're excited. They're not bruised anymore. They're not hurt. And so they look at you, and they whisper in your ear, "It's okay not to be okay." And they give you the tightest hug of your life. Open your eyes. That child is you. In the beginning and in the end, that is you. I need you to be gentle with yourself. The same way you talk to a loved one, a father, a mother, a sister, a brother. Be patient with yourself. Love yourself. In any journey, this is hard, I know, but it's not impossible. Even if you can't see the light, it's there. I need you to have faith. I need you to be strong. And I need you to never, ever, ever give up. Thank you so much.